Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 2. Can you believe it? We're already on week 2. Fabulous. So this week, we get to go over a lot of fun stuff this week. We get to talk about sandwiches. We get to talk about hors d'oeuvres. It's some of the stuff I absolutely love. How was everybody else's week? Did everybody have a great week? Yes. Remember, that class cafe is available for you guys. So if you want to show off your assignments, or you find a really good, super cool recipe that deals with this week, throw it in the class cafe. That's what it's there for. So you guys have that chance to connect and share with each other. So remember, it's there for that. I see good week so far. I also see stressful. Yeah, working in kitchens is tough, but you're tough enough to be a chef, strong enough to love it, right? That's what they always say. So let me pull up our main page real quick. As always, remember that the tutoring stuff, Sydney's info is right here. Your class cafe, if you guys want to check out the class cafe page, you can see some people already started some subjects going. Just go on in here and check it out. And then remember to get your research materials done. Your research material and your knowledge check and your conversion knowledge checks. Remember, those are worth points. So let's make certain that you get those in. Get those in now. It's a silly way to lose points. And I don't want you guys losing points because you didn't do a knowledge check, right? So be certain to get those done. Another thing for those, and for those who are watching the live session archive, if you hadn't had a chance to do your week 1 assignment, you still have time. Late submissions are due on Thursday, so please go in, get your late submissions in now, so you can get some points, right? And then, or if you go past that late submission period, let me pull up my screen again, you can always start using the makeup assignment area. So if you didn't have the ingredients yet, you're not going to be able to do it on Thursday to get those late points, you can just throw it into your makeup assignments. Remember, you have 3 of these, so you have the ability to make up 3 assignments. And don't just rely on this. Remember, this is for that in case of emergency. For example, I was in school and pregnant, and my water broke, and labor came, and kiddo came 3 weeks early, and it was a Sunday, and my paper was due that night. So I was in labor in the hospital writing up my paper because I waited last minute. So don't have that happen to you. Don't be like me in labor doing all that fun stuff. Get on now, and you can either do your late assignment submission or just put it into this makeup assignment here. So you click on this, you put in the assignment, you put what week it is for. So if it's for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, you type what week it is for here, and then you just follow the directions for that week and just add the submission here. Does that make sense for everyone? Yes? Am I get a thumbs up? Thumbs for a live session. People watching the archive, if it doesn't make sense, let me know. We can go through it together, okay? All right, so let me pull up. I'm seeing yes, chef, yay, I'm glad. So once again, right here, things to do. Remember, week 2 knowledge checks. You got your week 2 conversion knowledge check. You have your week 2 assignment that's going to be due on Tuesday, but you guys are going to start early, right? You're going to get it done early so you can enjoy your weekend. And then you have a week 1 late submissions. They are due on Thursday. Now, for those who are wondering, remember that the chef evaluators have up to 3 business days to grade your assignments. So please remember that all chef evaluators have up to 3 business days to grade all of your assignments. And that's business days, remember. So that's, you know, that Monday through Friday is a business day. Because our chef evaluators are extremely busy. They are in multiple classes grading a lot of stuff, which is why we talk about making certain you follow the recipe. Even if you don't like something, now's the time to actually try it. One person already turned in their week 2 assignment, and I love what they wrote, because they wrote how they typically don't like mushrooms, but they tried it and they actually loved this recipe. So this is where it's time to, you know, broaden your horizons, try something new. And now you'll be able to understand what it's supposed to taste like. A person who is great about this type of stuff is our very hardworking Chef Genevieve, our wonderful partner in crime. Am I right, Chef?
Yes, I was going to say, to your point, what I want you guys to think about when you're having to cook a new dish that maybe you don't like every single ingredient, I want you to think about the future money that learning that is going to do. No matter if you're a chef in a restaurant, chef at a hotel, own your own catering business, one day somebody with money is going to come up to you and ask you to make them stuffed mushrooms. You're going to get hired for an event. Maybe maybe there'll be maybe the president will come to your restaurant and this is what he wants. It's the only thing he wants. I don't want you guys to miss an opportunity like that in the future because we didn't want to try something that we didn't like right now. And I totally get it, trying to make sure that you're being cost friendly and budget friendly each week with your assignments. But I want you guys to be thinking long term too. That money that learning these skills is going to bring you one day. So if you can think about it like that, hopefully it helps you stay excited and eager to learn.
Nice. And we just finished talking about the late assignment period. So how were the week 1 assignments looking this week, Chef?
So I saw a lot of great assignments. I really didn't see anybody who had a big challenge with the assignment, but what I saw pretty regularly was missing required photos. This week we were making simple items, so I can understand how it was easy to overlook some of those required photos. Like we wanted to see your vinaigrette at several stages, same goes for your mayo, and in some cases I saw just finished pictures of your vinaigrette, finished pictures of one picture of a finished vinaigrette, finished mayo, finished salad. And the reason I want to see those required photos is because I'm not in the kitchen with you. I want to see all of your steps leading up to that finished product. Yes, that finished product is important, but to me, the production is way more important. That's really what I want to see. Now, again, I want to see the finished product. That's important. But knowing that you guys are learning the technique and the method is what's most important to me. So please make sure you're paying close attention every week to your required photos. We will walk through them here in class at the live session. They're always available to you, of course, on the class page. I even recommend writing them down or printing them out and having them hanging up or sitting somewhere in your kitchen while you're working on your assignment. That way you can regularly refer to that list, making sure that you're not missing anything. Now that we got the business out of the way, I want to talk about some of the awesome things that I saw this week. I feel like every time I've taught mayo, I have students who reach out to me who are like, oh man, chef, mayo, this stunk, it took forever, I don't get it. Nobody had that attitude this time around. Everyone was like, yes, this took a long time, but I'm really glad to know how to do it. Everyone brought their mayo to that thick, spreadable consistency. I didn't see any soupy disasters. I didn't see separation happening. Your vinaigrettes, I felt like most of you showed me a spoonful of vinaigrette, which to me means that you were tasting along the way. Awesome. Keep doing that. The one thing I want to remind you there is when you're tasting something multiple times while you're making it, it's absolutely critical that you are using a clean utensil every time. Don't put a spoon that you tasted with your mouth back into that bowl of vinaigrette that's going to be served to other people, right? So that's something to keep in mind when we're working in a professional kitchen. And then last but not least, your composed salads. I felt like you guys really had fun designing your salads. That's the way it looked like to me, because I saw some beautiful work. I saw uniform knife cuts. I saw multiple types of presentations, whether it was creating sort of like a rounded design or rows or bundles of those ingredients. I just felt like everybody really took their time and was detail oriented. As we get closer to the baking weeks, being detail-oriented is going to be crucial. So I was excited to see that. You guys made grading simple products really fun because you turned in some really beautiful work. So now you set the standard high. You set the bar high for yourselves. And I'm going to expect beautiful work every week. So I better see some beautiful stuffed mushrooms this week.
And remember, you have up until next Tuesday to make those resubmissions. So to watch the video feedback that Chef Genevieve gave, and then go ahead and go back and resubmit. You have up until next Tuesday to resubmit. Now, don't wait until Tuesday at 11:59 to submit, because if you miss something, you can't go back and resubmit to get that better grade. So resubmit now, do it quickly, and then that way Chef Genevieve can be able to really look at it, give you another grade, and go for that 100%. Am I right, Chef?
Yep, it's absolutely worth it to get every one of those points. Plus, most of the time we've only lost points for something silly like maybe leaving a box blank on our narrative. And if you've put all that hard work into the kitchen and your product, it's absolutely worth it to get every last point. You deserve those points. So make sure that you are giving every aspect of your assignment your all. That way you can get 100 every week. I promise we want to set you up for success. We want to see that. We want you to get that grade every single week, and we're here to help you do it. So on that note, the other thing I want to remind you guys is to please reach out to us if you have any questions. I saw several times in your narratives that I was unsure if I was supposed to do this, or I was a little unsure about this instruction. That's what we're here for. So whenever you see something, that's why I always recommend reading your recipes right after class. That way, if you see anything that confuses you or you're not sure about, you can send both Chef Rachel and myself a message right away, and we can get back to you that much sooner and get those questions answered. So please, 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 I can't say it enough. Do not hesitate to reach out to us whenever you have questions.
Yes. And now we get to go over sandwiches. Are you guys excited? What's your guys' favorite sandwich? Chef Genevieve, what's your favorite sandwich?
Okay, so my two, it's a tie, and it's usually other people's least favorite sandwiches. I love egg salad sandwiches and tuna salad sandwiches. Those are my favorites.
Do you do like a curried egg salad, or are you doing like
I've absolutely done a curried egg salad. I've incorporated a decent amount of different flavors, but one of my favorites, Colorado Girl, is a green chili egg salad.
Ooh, look at you. Yeah. How about everybody else? I'm seeing Reuben's steak, Reuben's egg salad and tuna salad, po' boys, oyster po' boys. Wow, I've had the shrimp ones, but not the oyster. BLT, jalapenos, caramelized onions. I see Cuban sandwich. Oh, I love Cuban sandwiches. PB or PBG, Monte Cristo. So one of my favorites is actually a club sandwich. Now, what makes a sandwich a club sandwich? I'm seeing bacon. I'm seeing the cut.
Multiple meats.
Multiple meats. What else do you guys think? 3 stacks. Deborah, what do you mean by 3 stacks?
3 pieces of bread.
You talking?
You're unmuted now, Deborah. We should be able to hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
The three stages, you know, in the sandwich, you know, you toast the bread, then you put the one down that you have the lettuce, tomato on one, you have your turkey and one cheese on the other. Then on the other piece of bread, you have your ham and your other piece of cheese on there. You have your Swiss cheese with your turkey, and then you have your yellow cheese with your ham. Then you stack them all together, and then you slice them 4 ways, and then you stick the toothpick in. You know, I've made turkeys before, so I think that's the way. I think that's why you call them clubs, because of the stages that you go through to make them.
Stages, yeah. And Clayton, what do you think?
A BLT is it stands for a BLT is bacon, lettuce, and tomato. But I used to make them all the time at like Waffle House, and what they really like, a lot of people like a lot of bacon stacked on it. They like both of the sides to be toasted. Like if you put it on the flat top grill, you put the butter on, and you flip it on both sides. You flip it on both sides, and then they liked the different kind of cheeses, like she was saying. She liked they liked the different kind of cheese. Now some people liked the turkey. And a lot of them liked the turkey, but a lot of people like a lot of crunchy bacon. Like some people like crunchy bacon, and I used to have people who liked it mostly raw bacon on theirs. But they liked it, the lettuce and the tomato, and a lot of them liked it, the tomato to be on the flat top and the lettuce. You know, it's like people had like a different styles of each type of BLT that they want. Like some people wanted it extra crispy black. You know, like they wanted it like just so dark to, you know, they like the crunch. Everybody like the crunch when you say BLT.
Nice. And now, awesome. As you guys notice, everybody makes it a little different, right? But what makes it a club sandwich is, and somebody said it already in the chat and somebody else said it out, was that third piece of bread. That third piece of bread is what actually makes it a proper club sandwich. And I'm all about being a proper club sandwich. Not that, you know, the fast food, the Subway, well, not Subway, but whoever decides to make a club and you're just putting in a bun, that's not a club. You need that third piece of bread in there. And I'm a purist about that. So if I see that that's not on there, and I am upset. And this is why I love knowing the history of sandwiches. For those who have not ever heard of this history of how the sandwich came to be, it was by this guy right here. So John Montagu, the 4th Earl of Sandwich. Doesn't that just sound fancy, right? The sandwich was named after him because he was at a poker table. He didn't want to leave. So he asked somebody to bring him some bread with pieces of meats inside of it. And voila, the sandwich was born. Craziness, right? How many people actually knew that's how the sandwich came to be? I love this. And this, if you cannot see this, it says his fate was sealed between 2 slices of bread, which I absolutely love. And we have this guy, Louis P., and I always say his name wrong, Louis P. DeGoy. In the 1940s, he wrote this giant sandwich manual, like huge manual, and it has hundreds and thousands of different recipes. And it was one that, you know, if you wanted a sandwich, you like have, and it's not like a rinky-dink book. I mean, this sucker is thick and it's chock filled with a variety of different sandwiches to the point where you didn't even realize that there were that many sandwiches to begin with. And so he created this sandwich manual that a good chunk of people ended up using for the sandwiches that you love today. And I don't know about you, but my mother, bless her heart, she's English, nobody taught her how to cook. You know, everything was done in a microwave, you know, nuking it until it was like that grayish color. We were looking forward to sandwich day. So I don't know about you guys. And now we have different styles of sandwiches. For those who don't know, we have your cold sandwiches. We have your hot sandwiches. And then we have the delightful tea sandwiches. So the tea and finger sandwiches came to be because of Anna Maria Stanhope, the 7th Duchess of Bedford. She came up with it because she was starving. Typically, way back when, you would eat in the morning. You would eat at like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and then you wouldn't eat again until 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So she was starving in between. So for her tea time, she asked to actually bring, to have sandwiches and do tea sandwiches. And that is how the tea sandwiches came to be, because she was hungry. And she was the one that actually helped create that lunch, right? Isn't that fun? Do you guys love history? I love the history of that stuff.
I also love to think about I wonder how many other delicious things that we eat came to be because someone was hungry, you know?
I know, right? Isn't that great? Like crazy stuff like potato chips. Potato chips are like a staple for people. And it was one person who created that potato chip and then marketed it, right? It's fun. I love it. And now, what do you guys think are the elements of a sandwich? What makes it a sandwich for you? We talked about it a little bit with the club, right? We got our bread, that 3rd piece bread. That's what made my club sandwich. So what other things are going in that sandwich for you guys? Is he cheese? Anything between 2 pieces of bread is a win-win for me. Meat and pickles. I'm seeing a fried meatloaf. We got pickled bell peppers, onions, lettuce, tomato. Salami. A base to keep the bread from going soggy. So Deborah, that is a spread right there you're talking about, right, Chef? Well, look at you. You're about to say it. See, we're like this.
Well, I was waiting for someone to say it. I was excited. A spread. Almost every sandwich that we eat has some sort of spread on it, whether it's mayo or an aioli or another sauce altogether. Almost every sandwich has some sort of sauce, which Deborah is right. One of the main purposes of a spread is to help protect your bread from more moisture.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know about you, but if I had to do that whole, like, what would you take with you to a stranded island, to survive off of, I would pick mayo every time, hands down. I'm a mayo girl, so that's what I'm taking with me. What are you going to take?
Bread, for sure. If I write a memoir, when I'm old and gray, it's just going to be called I Love Bread.
Oh, I love it. That'd be awesome. That'd be absolutely awesome. And then let me pull up where'd it go? I lost my slide for a second. So we have your bread. You have your spreads, like your mayo, your mustard, your ketchup. Gotta love ketchup. Do you guys actually know how ketchup came to be? By chance? Seeing nose. Well, it actually originated in the South Asian area, and it was brought to sailors to like England, and it actually didn't have any tomatoes in it. It had fish. It was like a fish vinegar sauce. And then in the 1860s, I want to say like 1862, that's when they actually started putting tomatoes into ketchup. And then eventually they took out the anchovies, and it is what it is today. Now you still can find some ketchup that actually has some anchovies in it. So I would say if you find it, give it a try. See how you like it. Part of the original, right? And then, so like we said, we got those characteristics. We got that bread. I even pulled out the club sandwich here because I want to make sure you saw that 3rd piece bread. You have your bread and you want to make certain you have a right choice for bread, because some bread is going to work for some sandwiches while other bread isn't going to work for other sandwiches. But nowadays, because of the allergies and dietary restrictions, you guys can see differences, right? We have people use lettuce. You get the like gluten-free burger, and that typically means that you're going to get lettuce, like your burger in between two pieces of lettuce, right? You have like the lettuce wraps, those kind of things. And then we have our spreads, and our spreads, you know, as Chef Genevieve and Deborah were talking about, that acts as that barrier. We have a slew of spreads nowadays, right? Like, it's craziness, the amount of spreads that you can actually get. And then we have our fillings. So what type of meat, what type of protein are you going to put in this thing? If somebody is a vegan, what type of like protein are you going to put into that sandwich? Are you going to do tofu? Are you going to do like a hummus thing? Like, what are you actually going to put as your protein? I was actually shocked. I had tried a hummus sandwich, which I didn't know if I would like, but I wanted to try it anyways because I never had it before. And I was pleasantly surprised. I actually enjoyed it. Chef, have you ever had one of those before?
My lunch almost every single day is a warm pita with cucumbers, bean sprouts, and hummus inside. That's what I eat for lunch really almost every single day. I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah. Well, what type of hummus did they use? Was it just plain, or did they add to it?
I change it up because I make them here. I make them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So every time I go, I probably buy a different flavor of hummus. One of my favorites is jalapeno cilantro hummus.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, that sounds delicious. Oh, and then we have the garnishes, right? What are you gonna put with that to make it pretty? Are you gonna put a pickle to go on the side of that? Are you gonna add your lettuce, tomato, and onion on the side? You know how you can have your burger and then you have your lettuce, tomato on the side, and onion? That's part of your garnish, right? Once it's on that side like that. So what are you gonna add to it? Even that little toothpick, that toothpick can be considered a garnish, especially that little fancy one that holds it together, right? There are a slew, and I did want to bring up, because it came up in the chat, so for those watching the live session archive, Erin, you brought up a great thing, which was the History Channel has a documentary called The Foods That Built America, and so that is, I'm a big fan of History Channel, so if those who are watching the live session archive, you can also check that out and see how that is, right? Now, there is a slew of different presentation styles when it comes to sandwiches, right? And it can vary from where you live, region to region, country to country. What are some of the types of presentations do you guys typically see for a sandwich? Is everything together? Is it part? I'm seeing open face. Erin said open face.
Something Robert said that I love and is actually really popular in a lot of places. He said, we put the French fries and coleslaw on that sandwich.
Ooh,
That's
yeah.
definitely something that you see at a lot of different sandwiches places and sometimes barbecue places, is they pack all of that inside of your sandwich. It's like a Thanksgiving meal between two pieces of bread.
Yeah, I mean, I had one in Australia, and it was called the Fully Loaded Burger, and this sucker had like, it was a burger, and it had like your mushrooms, your onions, lettuce, tomato. It had beetroot and then a fried egg on top, and that sucker was delicious. It was like delicious. So I highly recommend that if you go to Australia. But open face sandwich. The one that I just talked about was that. Like, you know, that burger was all together. That's called a closed sandwich. Then we talked about the other ones too, right? So we talked about, you got your closed sandwich. We talked about the club, and you guys saw that one. Your open face sandwich. Do you guys know what open-faced sandwich that is routinely eaten? It's a hot open-faced sandwich that many people enjoy. You guys know what that is?
So open face sandwich, you guys.
You'll usually eat it maybe on a Sunday. Football season's coming up.
We got it. Carrie was first in the chat. Pizza.
Pizza, yes. Pizza is technically considered an open-faced sandwich. Isn't that cool? How many people knew that? Isn't that awesome? Great. I was like, boom, mind blown when I found that out. And then we have your good old finger and tea sandwiches. And those ones are your typical, you make your sandwich and then you cut your shapes, right? To get the most bang for your buck, you're typically going to see those little triangles or the squares because you're getting the most yield out of that sandwich. But you'll see the little, like some people do stars, some people do little circles. There's a whole slew of them, right? And those ones are very simple. They can be just like butter and cucumber, right? And then that's it. Like it's a butter, cucumber. I've had like, you know, butter, cucumber, mint. You do like cream cheese, watercress, like tomato. Like it's very, very simple. Like my papa, my good old papa from England, he would do banana butter sandwiches. So it'd be butter and bananas in the sandwich. Craziness, right? How many people would try a banana butter sandwich?
Try that. I would try that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. How many East Coasters do I have with me? How many New Englanders? We got any New Englanders up in here? Well, if you're a live session, watching live session archive, good old fluffernutter, you know? You got your fluff and your peanut butter.
I already brought it up. I call them Nutter Butters, which I know is the name for the cookie. But I said that same thing in the chat. It was one of my childhood favorites.
Yeah, good old fluffernutters. I loved them. It was greatest. That's when you knew my dad was cooking. It's when we got full like marshmallow and peanut butter. This is when my dad was cooking, right? Mom was at work. I got fluffernutters. So, what are some of your guys' favorite sandwiches, you think? Oh, I see fried peanut butter and banana sandwiches are good. Saw meatloaf on there, which is good.
I had a professor in college who loved Reubens so much that he made it his goal to eat a Reuben in every county in Colorado. He got really close. The only reason he didn't finish is because there are some counties so small that they didn't have anywhere that he could get a Reuben from. But any county where he was able to find a Reuben, he got that Reuben. He has pictures to document it. He loves his Reuben. Some people take their sandwiches very, very seriously.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like he should be in like a Guinness World, like the Guinness book for that or something, right? And you know, we use sandwiches a lot for things, right? You always see it in the restaurants. Like that is always something on there. Some form of a sandwich is on there, right? Because a canapé, it can be considered an open-faced sandwich. And a canapé is also considered an hors d'oeuvre. Now, what do you guys think the difference between an hors d'oeuvre and an appetizer is? Timing. You guys know?
Portion.
Portions, yeah.
Austin says portions as well.
1 to 2 bites. Yeah, good, good, good. Yeah. And now your hors d'oeuvres, these are instead of having that meal, right? That appetizer is that first course of your meal, right? And that's, you can share it. That's it's a smaller portion versus an hors d'oeuvre. You can have just a party, do a catering just filled with hors d'oeuvres, right? You have little mini canapes and spoons and all of this really pretty stuff. Am I right, Jeff?
You are, and one of the things that I always bring up when we talk about hors d'oeuvres is that it actually has a purpose. It's not just so that you look fancier. It's not just so that you have multiple courses and a little tiny one before your appetizer course, although that does make the meal as a whole seem a bit fancier and more elevated. But an hors d'oeuvre's purpose is supposed to enliven your appetite. So it's small enough that, has that ever happened to any of you where you sit down for lunch and all day you were like, I'm not hungry, but man, I gotta eat lunch now. You take a bite of your lunch and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm actually super hungry. So that's basically the same reaction that we want to get with these hors d'oeuvres. We want people to get a little taste and to be like, holy guacamole, where's my next bite? I can't wait for my next course. Let's get dinner going. So hors d'oeuvres are really fun in that way. It's why I want you guys to get creative and get excited about them, because it's the first step to getting your future clients, your future customers excited for what else is coming.
Yeah, and you can have a lot of fun with these. So this is one that I did, that I actually did a foam. It's like I fried the potatoes myself, like the potato chips, and then I did different types of foam on it. So I did a crystallized ginger vanilla foam. This one's like a sour cream and chive foam on top. And so you can get really creative with these. And the main thing is that your hors d'oeuvres, as long like you pretty much have those 2 or more components to it, right? So I have my base here. I got my little like my little filling right there on top, and then I got my garnish, which is the chives and stuff. These ones are really cute and pretty, and as you can see, it's that piece of bread. Now this is, you know, these are like your canapes. And there's different hors d'oeuvres that you can do. We have tartlets, we have barquettes, we have canapes, profiteroles, spoons, and you can have a lot of fun with these. So your tartlets are typically like this. You know, you guys see tarts all the time. Now you're just making a little mini version. And the barquettes, I always personally loved using, because right here, they look like little boats. And I even had a, you know, for one of the ACF competitions, one of my students did, they did the little boats, and they did a whole like Little Mermaid themed like hors d'oeuvre platter, and they used the little barquettes and like had the ocean and all this stuff. So you can get really creative with this stuff. And they had the barquettes like their little, you know, they're the ships out to sea kind of thing. You do have to be careful with these because they can get soggy like that. So these are one of those where you want to assemble them as close to possible at the time of service. Now that's going to be slightly different if you're doing like a little mini pumpkin pie, or, you know, like an actual like more of a mini tartlet pastry, because that's being baked in the oven and that holds up a bit better. But for the most part, you want to definitely, these can get soggy fast, so you have to be quick with these. And then these are our canapes right here. So as you can see, you can use anything as that base, right? You can use a cucumber. You can slice up a cucumber and use that as your base. You can use a cracker. Anybody who puts like cheese and cracker does that little thing, then like you're halfway, like you're there at a canape, right? Because you're putting it all together. Add a little mustard on that bad boy, and boom. Fancy canape. So, well, you can do fancier. And then you see this, they have their little, the cracker, they got their filling, the spread, and then their little garnishment on top. And you can get really creative and have a lot of fun with these. And then profiterole. So everybody knows the eclair, right? Chocolate eclair. That chocolate eclair with that pate, I always want to say pate à choux, but it's that pate à choux dough, and it doesn't have to be a sweet thing. You can make savory profiteroles, and the difference between the eclair and a profiterole is, well, the eclair with the filling and the size of it, right? The length of that, yeah, thank you. I was like, thank you. I'm like, brain fart. Versus the profiterole is that circle like this right here, right? And This one has like a sweet base to it, but I have definitely made these and done like a smoked salmon mousse before with these, and they're just as delicious. So you can fill them with cheese and do little cheese ones. Like, they are a fun one that you can do. And then my other favorite one are the spoons. And I've actually done it where these ones, you see the spoons are just right there and you can like pick them up and give them back to the wait staff. Like, you're done. I've also done it where I've made my own spoons, and I'm kind of curious, Chef Genevieve, if you have made your own. I've used that, they call it, it's a terrible name, but they call it cigarette paste. And like you spread it out, and it's kind of like the same paste that you would use for a fortune cookie. And you see how they put that fortune cookie together, right, Jeff? Did you do that?
I haven't heard it referred to as cigarette paste before, but I was just going to say that I've made tweel spoons. So tweels are similar type of cookie to a fortune cookie, very similar textures and consistencies. And so I use a tweel typically to do that.
Yeah, and you can actually make your own little spoons with it, and then you put like I've done it, and then I put like a chocolate mousse on top with a little garnet, like with a raspberry, and then they get to eat the whole thing. So you can get really creative with these. I've also done a savory version where I've done it with Parmesan, because Parmesan is great. Not the Parmesan that's in that green can that's, by the Italian section. I'm talking about like the Parmesan that's actually in the refrigerated section that's shredded. You can actually like put it in the oven on silk pads or, parchment paper, and then like bake it. And then as soon as it comes out of the oven, before like it gets a little brown, you pull it out and then mold it really quick as you're burning your fingertips. And then, and it'll hold its shape. And then I've done that, and then I've done like that, and done like a little mini Caesar salad on a spoon, like as a little hors d'oeuvre. So those ones are so much fun to do. So I would definitely say have fun, check out the different spoons, and you guys get to have fun doing your assignments this week. This week we have why am I missing it?
We're doing bound salad and stuffed mushrooms.
Yes, thank you.
Of course, because my favorite sandwiches, tuna salad, egg salad. This week we're working on a chicken salad, but basically the same thing. If you slather it in mayo, I'm probably going to love it.
Nice. Now, Chef, would you like to start talking about the assignment this week?
I would. First, let me start by getting us over to our required photos. This is where I want to start every week. Just want to walk through it. That way, if any of you have any questions about what one of the required photos is, sometimes there might be terminology in there that you don't recognize, and I want to make sure that we always get that cleared up. So that's where we're going to start. All right, so as always, your self-ID, sanitation, and mise en place photos. Something I want to remind you this week, as we're working with a decent amount of produce. Mise en place means that all of your ingredients have been measured out and are also ready to be incorporated into your product. So I don't want to see just washed vegetables. I want to see your diced vegetables. I want to see the portions of each vegetable that you've prepared to go into your stuffed mushrooms. If you're buying, let's say, like 3 peppers and you need 1.5 of them, I don't need to see all 3 peppers in your mise en place. What I want to see is the exact amount of ingredients that you need, measured out, prepared, ready to go into your product. So that's what your mise en place picture is. I always bring that back up just to remind you guys, because I do take away points for that. If I see like boxes of ingredients, or if I see, just the ingredients straight from the grocery store, that's when I take away those points. Mise en place can really help you guys in a pinch. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to bake something or to cook something thinking that I have everything that I need, then started my mise en place and realized, oh, I'm totally missing this huge, major, important ingredient. Each time that happened, though, it was fine because I hadn't started production. It wasn't like I had anything in the oven. It wasn't like I had mixed an acid and a protein, so the acid's going to cook the protein. There are time-sensitive issues sometimes. So mise en place, you guys, it's such an important habit. Definitely something that will be required of you in professional kitchens. So just to remind you guys of that. I do want to see at least one close-up of your knife skills, so with your onion and your celery, just showing me how you've diced it. Then I want to see all your ingredients in a bowl, all of your ingredients combined, and then your finished bound salad on a plate with a garnish. Typically, a garnish with a bound salad is a piece of lettuce, which totally works. If you just have a piece of lettuce and then your bound salad scooped on top of that, that's beautiful. I'm excited to see it. So your bound salad here, this is your chicken salad. There's not too many required photos. Some of them are a little bit simple and could be easy to forget. So again, writing these down, having them printed out while you work on your assignment, it's just gonna help make sure that you don't miss any steps. Then for your stuffed mushrooms, again, I'll remind you guys this too. If you're doing these on the same day, which you might, neither of these take very long. You only need one self-ID, one sanitation photo, but I do still need to see a mise en place for both products separately. So your mise en place for your stuffed mushrooms. With this recipe, we're going to pre-cook our mushroom caps. We'll walk through that technique in a minute, but I need to see a picture of it. So all of your caps on your baking sheet after they've been pre-baked. When on step 5, it says ingredients in saute pan cooking. So that's going to be your other vegetables and the stems of your mushrooms. We're going to take the stems out of our mushroom caps, dice it up, add it with all of our other vegetables in that pan of saute, in that saute pan. We're going to do stuffing ready in a bowl because there are a few other ingredients that we add that we don't saute. For example, breadcrumbs. So once we take all of our veggies out, we're going to add those other ingredients. We're going to stuff our mushrooms, take a picture before we bake them, and then take a picture of them after they've been baked in a plated presentation of some sort. Even if it's just your stuffed mushrooms on a platter and nothing else, that's totally fine. I'd like to see at least 3 or 4 of your stuffed mushrooms in that final presentation. But really, you guys, not too many photos, not too many steps this week. So hopping over to our actual recipe for the week, our recipes, excuse me, we're going to start with our bound salad. So cooked chicken. I would hope that you guys cook this chicken yourselves. We want to avoid using canned chicken. You could in a pinch. You can definitely find diced canned chicken, but the flavor is going to be drastically, drastically better if you guys are cooking this chicken yourselves. So that's something to consider. I want an onion, a celery. That onion and celery are both could be omitted from this recipe and you'd still be able to make a delicious bound salad. But the celery in a bound salad is one of my favorite parts. It adds such a crunch to the dish that is really, really pleasing. So I encourage you, even if you feel like you might not like those, to give it a try. See if it's something you'd be interested in trying again. Mayo. Now here's the thing. I know we all just made mayo last week. I don't recommend using the mayo that you made in this class. It's been sitting for probably a few days now. Even if you just made it yesterday and you plan to do your assignment tonight, our mayo recipe, I think, tends to be a little looser than a standard mayo that you'd get at the grocery store. So what I don't want to happen to you guys is to use your mayo and then have a soupy mess. Now, you can definitely attempt to use your own mayo, but my tip for you would be to slowly add it. So add maybe a half of the portion of mayo that it's called for, stir everything together, and then just add a little bit more as needed. You can always add more, but we can't take any mayo back out, right? Your bound salad should be wet enough that you can take a scoop of it and put that scoop on your plate, and the scoop should hold its shape. That it shouldn't collapse. You shouldn't see liquid running through. It should be a nice mounded scoop of bound salad. So that's what I'm looking for here. Pretty simple, combining all of those ingredients, stirring them together. Looking at our stuffed mushrooms, there's maybe just a few more steps here, but again, this one's really quick. You got to turn your oven on, make sure you preheat things. After you've cleaned your mushrooms, which is important, mushrooms are one of the more dirtier vegetables that we buy at the grocery store, so make sure you're cleaning those pretty thoroughly. You're going to stem your mushrooms, so just pop those stems out. We want to make sure that we dice those stems, put them with our other vegetables. Here we've got onion, green onion, garlic clove, red bell pepper. Again, you can substitute like a red bell pepper for a green bell pepper. You can play with that a little bit there, but I want to see the technique of multiple vegetables, different dicing techniques all combined together to create a filling for this stuffed mushroom. So after you've minced all your other ingredients, diced all of your other ingredients, we're going to saute those while your mushroom caps are baking in the oven. While that's happening, the moisture is being pulled out of them. When you take those mushroom caps out of the oven, you're going to see a little bit of a puddle underneath. That's not a problem. That's what's supposed to happen. Let them cool for just a little bit, and then you can start filling them. Once you've filled them, I like to add a little Parmesan cheese sometimes on the top, just so because it crisps up in the oven. Not required, but we're going to bake those off, pull them out when it's getting golden brown on the top. You'll definitely see a slight little shift in color. The one thing with these stuffed mushrooms, since we're working on hors d'oeuvres, Austin had actually mentioned it down in the chat earlier. He said, why are we making stuffed mushrooms? Because there are definitely varieties of stuffed mushrooms that are much larger. There are entrees. There are definitely people who use much larger mushroom caps, stuff them to make more of a meal. But in this case, we're focusing on hors d'oeuvres. So we want to use mushrooms that, again, you're going to be able to eat in about 1 to 3 bites. 3's pushing it. It's typically 1 to 2. And with your filling, we want it to be neat and tidy. We don't want it to be a mounded thing of filling that's falling out of the mushroom as it bakes, because your customer or client should be able to pick it up off a tray, eat it without feeling like they're going to get messy or like they're making a mess. So we want to make sure our stuffing is tightly packed in those mushroom caps. But you guys, I think that you're going to knock this one out of the park. I'm really, really confident. After week 1, I'm super confident in your abilities. So just make sure that you're reading through your recipes, that you have all of your required ingredients, and I think you're going to knock it out of the park.
And then remember, your assignments are due on Tuesday. And when you are doing this, think of what you would do in a kitchen. So remember, when you're actually plating and putting stuff for that presentation, like I want you to think of your like food safety, serve safe, that type of thing, where if you were actually going to touch ready-to-eat food, you would typically use a glove. Because how many times would you wash your hands? Try to avoid cross-contamination from happening. So don't use the same cutting board that you used with your chicken to all of a sudden use with your mushrooms. Like hold off, like use separate cutting boards, like, or wash in between. Like think of those things, because remember, we're not training line cooks, we're training managers and business owners. And as a business owner and a manager, you have to be on top of your certificate, like your serve safe and your food handlers, and how you are presenting food and how you're doing it in a safe manner. And for, like you saw that they had the lettuce, like the 6 leaves of lettuce. Now, chef, are they filling those lettuce with that composed chicken salad?
It's not required. You guys don't have to put your bound salad on a piece of lettuce. But again, it's a really beautiful, traditional, simple way to plate a bound salad that looks a little more elevated. It makes it also look a bit more fresh. I don't think fresh is always the first thing I think of when I hear about tuna salad. So when I see a beautiful, fresh piece of lettuce on my plate, it's a little reassuring that this was made recently and it's going to taste fresh and delicious. Now, that piece of lettuce is not required, but what is required is a garnish. So if you're not using a piece of lettuce, you have to figure out an alternative garnish. You could use some parsley on top, a little bit of parsley sprinkled on top. I recommend doing that anyways. There are definitely other options out there. So if you don't do lettuce, you still need a garnish of some sort.
Nice. Sounds good. Sounds good. And remember, guys, please follow the recipes because we are building the foundation here. You want to go off of the foundation, and then that way Chef Genevieve can really make certain that it's consistent, because by now she has graded, what is it, like thousands of these recipes by now? Is it thousands?
I've seen them a few times.
Yeah, like thousands. So she knows exactly how it's supposed to look. And if you change it or make a variation, she's not going to be able to give you the best consulting effort she can because she doesn't know what you fully did, right? Because you made it your own already. Now's the time where you have to not make it your own, but learn the foundation. So that way, if you go into a kitchen, they tell you to make stuffed mushrooms. You know exactly how to make stuffed mushrooms. You know exactly how they're supposed to look. You know exactly how much like they actually shrink up, because they do shrink up. And if you've never made mushrooms before, you're not going to know how much they actually shrink up unless you cook them. So get that practice in now. And remember that to do your knowledge checks, those are important. And that your late assignments submissions, those are due on Thursday, this Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. But if you missed it, remember I showed you where the makeup assignments are. You can just go ahead and start using that now. You don't have to wait. So, and then, yeah, I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions right now? Any questions? Nobody? All right, well.
I got booted out, but wait, before we go, I pulled up some pictures.
Okay.
So let me show you guys some stuffed mushrooms. That way it's just a little more visual for the amount of stuffing that you guys know I'm looking for. So pretty much all of these are really strong examples. This one here is like maybe pushing it a little bit for me just because it's got a sauce on top. And to me, it's pretty important that your hors d'oeuvre can be eaten in a tidy fashion, that you're not going to need like 1,000 paper towels or wet wipes afterwards.
Yeah, like remember, like you're going to a wedding and you're in a fancy outfit and you have to eat this. Will you be able to eat this standing up at a fancy wedding, like, and not ruin your clothes? Think about that.
Ribs, even if you're just serving one rib, still not a good hors d'oeuvre. That one's going to get a little messy, right? So with our mushrooms, it's just important that we're trying to keep them tidy. That way your future customer could eat them easily, pick it up off the plate easily. So again, almost all of these are a pretty strong example. This one's pretty well stuffed. I do tend to stuff mine a little bit taller, somewhat like this. If the very top of your stuffed mushroom isn't something liquid like a sauce, you can get them to be a little bit taller like this. So that's about the size of mushroom and the amount of filling that I'm looking for this week. Looking at your bound salad, let's see if I can find, there are lots of different consistencies here. Let's type in chicken salad and see if I can narrow this down for us. I'm hoping to find a picture to show you guys the consistency. Here we go. So see this scoop, maybe. This scoop here isn't falling apart. You don't see a pool of mayonnaise at the bottom sitting in this piece of lettuce. Here's a few more examples. Here's a top view. And I wonder if I can open this up bigger. Okay, it's just gonna be small. I'm sorry, you guys, but hopefully you can still see the consistency here in that it's got enough mayo that you can pack it inside of a scoop, but not so much mayo that it's too loose or too soupy or falling apart. So that's the consistency that you're looking for. Again, I always recommend adding 1/2 or 3/4 of the amount of mayo that the recipe calls for, and then slowly adding the rest once you've mixed it up. You might not need as much as you think.
All right. And guys, have you noticed how they actually used, like how they presented it with that lettuce? That's that idea of presenting it with that lettuce, like that, making something pretty, make it unique, make your presentation your own. They use that lettuce to, like you can use that lettuce to make it showy. Now, I hope everybody has a fabulous week. I hope everybody has a fabulous weekend. And I am looking forward. Remember, everything is still due on Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody next week. It's been a fun live session, and have a great weekend, everybody. Am I right, Chef?
Yes.
Right. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a
Bye.
good weekend.